Hello, fans and friends. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Astro Kara. I want to talk to you today about becoming a conspiracy theorist of your own life. Not the internet kind, not the doom scroll kind, but the kind where you start questioning the consensus reality you've internalized. The kind where you ask the questions, who told me this was true? Who benefits from me believing this? And where have I outsourced my authority? This Aquarius New Moon, partial solar eclipse, can be the break in the matrix that you've been waiting for. The energy of Aquarius and of eclipses always act as accelerators. In Evolutionary Astrology, the lineage of Jeff Green, Aquarius is not about rebellion for rebellion's sake. It's about deconditioning. It's about seeing the pattern you're embedded in and asking if it's actually yours. My work in using the paradigm of EA is to bring it into our lived experience, to understand how we can use it in our everyday life. So let's dig in. The shift of Pluto leaving Capricorn and moving into Aquarius over the past couple years is now becoming much more apparent. Capricorn governs consensus thought, the collective narrative, the social constructs that we've unconsciously agreed to in order to function and be accepted in society. And while Aquarius also contains this idea of belonging within the collective, it isn't about consensus anymore. It's about individuation. Recognizing and appreciating the uniqueness of yourself before rejoining the greater group. And this solar eclipse, it's a reboot of identity through detachment from the hive mind. This is where you become the investigator of your own conditioning. Not the kind of conspiracy theorist who is paranoid or dissociated. An individual who is discerning. And this lunation is in a square to Uranus, the ruler of Aquarius, in Taurus. The call is to remember what you value. And this adds a sort of exclamation point, and it's electric. Uranian energy is about awakening, disruption, and sudden insight. Taurus governs our values, our sense of security and self-worth, and our connection to our inner resources. And this square is asking us, are the values you're living by actually yours? Or were they inherited, absorbed, or internalized? This square is destabilizing false security structures, our comfort zones that are actually cages. And I talked about the need to stop decorating our cages in my video, Becoming the Heretic, about Uranus as it stationed direct. The deeper layer of Taurus is about what we embody as valuable. So it brings the focus of this eclipse from simply intellectual rebellion into the body, the somatic processing. And your nervous system may already have been telling you where you're betraying your own values. You might start to feel a restlessness in places where you've been too comfortable. This is the remembering, the putting the fragmented parts of yourself back together. Shadow Aquarius can externalize authority onto groups outside of ourselves. Taurus can externalize security onto money, status, or relationships. This eclipse is disrupting both of those ideas. And being a conspiracy theorist in your own life means asking some hard questions. Where have I blamed the system instead of reclaiming my own choice? Where have I said they when I really meant I'm afraid? And where am I still waiting for permission to be an active participant in my own life? Evolutionary astrology teaches that the soul evolves through contrast and desire. And right now, this desire field is intense. There's a theme of emotional intensity, longing, or even an obsession with what we want. But the deeper teaching is about discernment within that desire. Are you chasing intensity, or are you choosing devotion? Because devotion requires maturity. And that brings us to the next layer. We now have both Neptune and Saturn newly in Aries. And this, of course, is a big shift of 2026 that many astrologers are talking about. Neptune dissolves illusions. Saturn structures reality. Aries initiates. So, what's dissolving? I would advocate that it's old identities rooted in victimhood, martyr narratives, the I can't stories that the inner critic plays on repeat. Neptune in Aries can dissolve that false self that was built on reaction. Saturn in Aries is asking, can you take responsibility for your anger? Can you take responsibility for your desire? And can you mature your instinct? I talked about not drowning the fire in my Neptune and Aries video, Spirit in Motion. And with Saturn, it's not about suppressing fire either. It's about directing it. Brave new sovereignty. And something about sovereignty, it's not isolation. It's about self-trust. So what's going on with this letting go of emotional and mental attachments? This is Venus and Mercury in Pisces. And this is where the emotional cord cutting happens. Pisces, the sign associated with Neptune, dissolves. It releases. It forgives. It transcends. Venus in Pisces may show you where you've been romantically attached to your own suffering, where you've idealized dynamics that actually are draining you. Mercury in Pisces is dissolving rigid thought forms. And the retrograde that's happening here from February 26th through March 20th is giving an added opportunity to really release those old thought patterns. Aquarius is an air element, and it governs the brain. But I don't think we're going to be able to think our way through this eclipse. Aquarius also rules the nervous system. And there is the need to feel our way into this. Releasing these outdated narratives that this is just how it is. I've always been this way. I can't change. Let this begin to dissolve, to fade, to wash away. To be the rebel in your own life, you often have to grieve the identity you've outgrown. And here's our support system: Jupiter in Cancer. I've been talking about this as the opportunity for increased emotional capacity. You know, resilience isn't numbness or dissociation. It's the ability to feel deeply and stay present. Jupiter in Cancer is expanding our ability to self-soothe, to nurture ourselves, and to hold complexity. Because as you decondition from consensus reality, as you reclaim your values, and as you dissolve these old emotional attachments, you will need softness. You will need compassion that is grounded in yourself. We are building nervous systems that can hold freedom. Eclipses come in cycles. And remember that eclipse windows are about 5 or 6 months. So this energy isn't just for now. And it becomes about implementation and integration over time. We can think back to the eclipses in Aquarius and Leo and the themes that were going on in our lives. And these were in 2017, 2018, and further back around 2008. Contemplate where you were learning about belonging versus authenticity. Where did you step out or shrink back? This summer, the nodes will shift into Aquarius and Leo again. And it's amplifying the axis of our individual creative heart, Leo, and how we fit into the collective consciousness, Aquarius. This eclipse is a preview, and it's asking, will you choose to belong to yourself first? Because when the nodes activate this axis more strongly, anything built on false belonging will wobble. And the way of unshakability will be through heart-led authenticity. So what are some practical ways that we can work with this eclipse energy? Let's ground it a bit. Number 1, conduct a belief audit. Maybe contemplate or even write down a core belief that you have about money and possessions, a core belief about love and relationships, and a core belief about your purpose. And then ask yourself, where did this come from? Is this my experiential truth? Or is it absorbed consensus? Number 2, do a somatic value check. Begin to notice where your body contracts braces, or tenses in your daily life. Because that tension, it's data. And in that moment, pause and ask yourself, what value of mine is being activated and potentially compromised in this situation? Number 3, practice devotion over intensity. Instead of chasing what's dramatic in the moment, choose what you can sustainably commit to. Devotion to your values builds self-trust, and intensity without commitment will drain it. Number 4, practice a release ritual. While new moons are often seen as seeding times, there is a completion energy that's still very present with us in this one. Maybe write a letter or dictate it to an outdated version of yourself. Thank them for the role that they played in your growth, in your relating, and in your protection. Hold them in your mind and then release them. Remind yourself that you have agency to move forward. Burn it, bury it, delete it. This creates the action of release. And number 5, practice emotional capacity building. Maybe create one daily ritual for self-nurture. And while these may seem basic or trite, it doesn't mean they're not important. And if any in my list don't work for you, use what does. A long, warm bath, eating slower meals, journaling before bed, turning your phone off earlier. This freedom that I've been talking about, it requires containment. And as I've said, the center of my work is supporting the building of self-trust. And self-trust is often quiet. It's embodied, and it's consistent. This Aquarius eclipse isn't asking you to overthrow the world, even though you might feel like you want to. It's bringing the impulse to overthrow the internal regime that keeps you small. Be a conspiracy theorist of your own life. Question the narrative. Reclaim your values. Mature your fire. And expand your emotional capacity. The invitation right now is simple. Trust yourself enough to begin to break the spell. Thanks for being here. You can find all my info in the description box below the video. Please like, subscribe, and share this if you find my content valuable. And until next time, take care of you.